Yo, what's good? I am back once again with another movie review, man. This movie review is going to be for the film Dream Scenario starring Nicolas Cage. I got a list of movies that I want to review, and I'm going to be dedicated to my list. So, one of the movies that I had on my list was Dream Scenario starring Nicolas Cage, and I was very interested in watching this movie from when I saw the trailer and just knowing about the basic premise of the film. And if you haven't seen the trailer, basically, the movie is about, you have this guy who shows up in everybody's dreams for no apparent reason at all, and he's just there. So with that, I was very just like hooked just on that premise alone. I'm the type of guy that likes stuff like that in films. Like, you give me something unique, a unique concept, and you just run with that, like, I'm in. You know what I mean? So I had to check the movie out just based on the basic premise alone, and I had to see what it was all about. And I was watching it last night. I kind of fell asleep at certain parts, but overall, I stood awake for most of the movie. It was super late anyway, and I was really tired. And I was thinking about watching it again just to get a better understanding of the film, so that way I could come up with a more concise review. But I feel confident enough to give a review on this film based on what I saw. Like I said, I didn't really miss anything. I just fell asleep at certain parts throughout the film. But for the most part, I got basically all of it. You know what I mean? So with that being said, man, overall, I would say this movie, it kind of let me down at the end of the day, man. It really had me engaged, really had me hooked in the beginning. But then, when we get towards the end where you're looking for that hook, you're looking for that punchline, you're looking for that answer, it just doesn't show up. So at the end of the day, this film is one of those types of films where you probably have to watch it multiple times and really pay attention to, the scenes to come up with your own interpretation as far as like what's going on. It's one of those type of films where it's like all the questions that you have to answer them on your own based on, your interpretation of the film. And I don't really like movies kind of like that, where they set it up to where, okay, you have like this interesting and unique premise and you're like hooked, you're engaged, you're like, okay, we're going to get the punchline here, we're going to get the twist, we're going to get all the answers, and it just doesn't show up. You know what I mean? And it's left up to you to come up with the answers to your own question. I really don't like movies like that, to where they kind of like sell you in the beginning, but then they leave you hanging in the end. And I feel like this is the type of movie that does that. I will say, though, there are quite a few, good things that I do like. One of the things I do like is the main actor of the film, which is Nicolas Cage. I think he did a really good job playing that role. He comes off, kind of like socially awkward at times. He's a really quirky guy, pretty much family man, very boring, and he gets himself in a lot of trouble. Like, he puts himself in situations where he doesn't need to be in it, especially if you're a married man. You shouldn't be in the situation that he puts himself in, but he puts himself in those situations because he doesn't know how to be man enough at times to say, hey, I don't think this is right, meeting up with you at this place when I'm married and have children. You know what I mean? He's that type of guy. You could say that he's very kind of like soft in a lot of ways. But, overall, I think that Nicolas Cage, he did a really good job playing that type of like socially kind of awkward, quirky, nerdy type of college professor who's up there in this, maybe late 40s, early 50s. That's, kind of like old fashioned in a lot of ways. And, he has a wife and kids, and he's a boring guy, you know what I mean? But as the movie progresses on, his character kind of changes when, shit start hitting the fan, and, it's like the world is crumbling at his feet almost, because, everybody keeps showing up in his dreams. And as the movie progresses on, the dreams get worse, because in the beginning, the dreams are just him being there at certain situations. And a lot of these situations in the beginning of the movie, as far as the dreams go, the person having these dreams are in like an emergency situation, like there's shit just happening and their life is at stake. and he's there to help him, and he's not helping him. Like, the person could be calling out for his help, like, hey, look, like, I'm in danger, come help me, and he's just sitting there either like raking leaves from the grass in the backyard to just, you know, being in a room, just standing there looking lost. And that's how the dreams play out in the beginning. Now, towards the end, it gets a lot more violent, and it turns into pretty much a nightmare, to where he's now the one haunting the person having the dream, and he's actually going out to, like, kill him, you know? So I do think that Nicolas Cage, he really did a good job playing this role, man. And Nicolas Cage, you could get really wacky, could get really goofy in a lot of his roles, but this one, it was a lot more serious. And I think that, you know, with Nicolas Cage's hamminess and his goofiness, you see that here. But like I said, it's not played up like 110% like a lot of his other films. This film, he was much more contained, you know, but when he needed to be kind of, you know, really quirky and awkward, you know, he was that. So I got to give it up to Nicolas Cage. He is a great actor, by the way. And I really like this character a lot. And a lot of other characters too, they were cool, but there was more so like supportive type of roles. Like, I didn't really feel like everybody else was like a strong, like, secondary character. Everybody else seemed to play their role as they should. You know what I mean? Maybe the next strongest character besides the main one, of course, is the wife of the movie. But like I said, this is kind of like, it's centered around this guy here, Paul. I forgot his last name, but the main character's name is Paul. So he really kind of like carries the film to me. But one of the things that I didn't like, other than, you know, not giving me the answers that I wanted, was the editing. Because I feel like in a lot of scenes in this movie, it's just like a lot of scenes in this movie just ends abruptly. Like, certain scenes you see play out, but then it just like cuts off just for no apparent reason. And it just goes to the next scene, and you're just like, wait, what the hell is happening? So I don't know if that was like a stylistic choice. It seems like it was more so a stylistic choice, but it just didn't really make sense to me that a lot of scenes would just end abruptly like that. And they do it a lot. And especially like in the second act going towards like the end, it happens a lot more than in the beginning. And you're just like, so a lot of the editing to me just was very jarring and just very out of place for me. It didn't really take me out of the film, but it was just like, why would you do that? Like, why would you end the scene like right there? You know what I mean? Especially when something's going on, you just cut it. And like I said, it happens a lot as the movie plays on, you know, and it gets a little bit worse as the movie progresses. So that was like one of my main gripes with the film. But overall, man, I do think that it's, what I say is a good movie, I would say it's interesting. Just to put it short and to the point. It's an interesting film. If you like films with a unique premise like this, you may want to check it out. And if you like films to where they put you at the front seat to come up with your own interpretations, I think this is the film for you, because this is one of those films to where it's just like, okay, you have an interesting premise and they're not going to give you the answers. You're going to have to come up with the answer on your own. So if you are one of those people who really likes to think and really likes to really dive deep and go into the film and analyze a lot of the scenes and, you know, see how characters develop, you know, as the movie progresses, and come up with your own answers as to far as like, why is this happening? How is this happening? And I think this is the film for you. But for me, it's just interesting at the end of the day. It did let me down at the end, because it kind of left me hanging. I'm just like, okay, why did this happen and how did this happen? And also, too, like towards the end, it gets kind of wonky with certain things. Like they introduced this, I'm not going to spoil it here, but they introduced something just comes out of nowhere a little bit, but not really. But yeah, I don't know, man. You may know what I'm talking about if you have seen the film, but like I said, man, this movie, like I said, with the editing, was very jarring. The acting was really good. The premise was there. It just left me disappointed at the end, because I was waiting for that hook. I was waiting for a twist to happen, and I was waiting for my questions to be answered, but it wasn't. And I'm just like, Oh, you had me and then you just sold me short. So I think I said all I wanted to say in this movie review. Have you guys seen it? Let me know. But yeah, Dream Scenario, interesting film, but it kind of disappointed me at the end. So with that being said, man, I'm just gonna draw this review to a close, and yeah, till my next one, man. I am out.